Hi, everyone. First, thank you for your time today. I appreciate that. 5 years ago, while going through a very difficult time in my life, my friend Christine worked at Collier. During that time, Christine reminded me on a regular basis that the nuns from Collier were praying for my family. Let me tell you, there's something to be said about knowing that a group of nuns are praying for your family on a regular basis. It was a beautiful thing, and I felt very blessed. So first, I want to start by thanking all of God's special ladies in this room. Your prayers meant the world to me. Back then was the first time that I heard of Collier, and since I traveled a pretty difficult road and took a back seat to life for a little while. It wasn't until my good friend Jeannie Wall reintroduced Collier to an organization that I co-founded, Hope for Children Foundation, that I realized just how special Collier was. Today, I'm not only thankful for the love and support that Collier showed me during my difficult time, but I'm honored that they chose me to speak and thankful to be involved with such a beautiful organization. I'm also humbled to get the opportunity to tell my story, most importantly to the young ladies that are here today from Collier. I'm not a public speaker, and I am so nervous standing up here right now. But it's the girls at Collier that have given me the courage and make me feel like if my story can inspire anyone, then maybe it's worth telling. So thank you. There's 3 specific things that I wanted to touch upon today. One is what I call my foundation. That's the people in my world that make a difference. I've been so blessed in that aspect of my life, and it reminds me the way the girls at Collier have been blessed with Collier. Collier gives love, support, and hope to so many. Next, I want to speak about my path. My road hasn't been easy, but I wouldn't change any part of it. Even during my darkest hours, when I look back, I realized that God gave me so many blessings, whether it was the blessing in the form of a beautiful memory, someone that I met, or a moment. I've learned that my greatest challenges have also provided my greatest rewards. Finally, and most importantly, there's my faith. Without God, there's no way that I'd be standing up here today. And if anything could be taken from what I'm about to say today, that's the most important thing. Now I'm going to talk about what I call my foundation. I'm going to start with my family and my parents. I grew up with parents that showed unconditional love. They shielded me from anything negative and did everything in their power to show me the beauty in this world. I was originally a little hesitant to even talk about that because I know that it's very different than what some of the girls at Collier had experienced. But then the more I thought about it, the more I thought that how I was raised reminded me exactly of what Collier provides to these girls. Love, hope, faith, and security. A structure that's rare, yet so important. I have a group of friends that I've obtained throughout my life. We started early on and have continued to grow this group through each sector of our lives. My friends are like family to me. Their family and friends have become like my own. All play a different role, but a very significant role. A few of the friends and I, Steve Coltrane, Eric Hines, and Karen Hines, started a charity many years ago by the name of Hope for Children Foundation. And through the world of giving, we received so much more than we could have ever imagined. I've learned that a life without giving is empty, and giving has given me a beautiful network of strong, amazing, and compassionate people. Finally, there's strangers. My mother always said to me I had the gift to gab, just like my grandfather. Well, whether it be a person that I meet on the plane, someone in line in Starbucks, or a nurse that's about to take care of my family. I open up and I speak, because you never know who you'll meet and how significant they could become in your life. Excuse me, I need to take a sip. I could tell you some pretty amazing stories about some strangers, but unfortunately the only story that I have time for today is mine. So here I go. It started when I was a child. It goes back as far as I could remember. The one thing every child has always been asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? In my case, it wasn't what I wanted to be, it was who I wanted to be. My answer always the same, a mother. Then, at 16, I experienced my first crush. I'll never forget the day we met. It was the same day my desire to become a mother became the desire to also become a wife. His name was Ode. He was smart, handsome, athletic, and talented. All the girls liked him for that reason, but I knew there was so much more to him. Unfortunately, things didn't work out with him. We went our separate ways. However, he left behind something extremely important, a standard. As the years went on, I find that that standard was extremely difficult to meet. After a few broken hearts, a few broken engagements, and what some might call being a perpetual bridesmaid, I still held on to the hope that someday my dream of having a family would come true. Although never married, life seemed good. I was happy and healthy, as were my friends and family. I built an amazing career with Verizon. I traveled the world and materially had everything I could want. On the outside, my life looked pretty perfect. But was it really? I was still missing my one desire. And then the unimaginable happened. At 29, a time in my life that was filled with the majority of my friends starting a family, I found out that my worst nightmare was about to take place, or what I thought would be my worst nightmare. Cancer. And it wasn't just any cancer, it was in my uterus, so it would take my ability to carry children. Along with my hope went my faith. After all, the only thing I ever prayed for to God was a child, and that was being ripped away. Back then, there were no options for preserving your fertility. However, my oncologist understood my devastation and the importance of being a mother, so we took every step to ensure that if technology advanced, I could take advantage of that. The years passed, 10 to be exact, and technology did change. Over that time, I had frozen eggs and created what would someday be my dream come true. Although I was single, my beautiful sister-in-law had offered to carry my biological child. We started what was a very long and a very expensive process, and then my life started to fall into place. By the grace of God, I connected with a man that would become my forever. His name, Ode, the same one that got away almost 25 years prior, that left such a big impact. My life was turned into everything I had ever dreamed of. Ode and I spoke about marriage, and I was on the road to becoming a mother. And then once again, my happiness was quickly replaced as Ode was diagnosed with a terminal brain tumor and given 2 to 4 years to live. I was devastated and in shock and crushed more than ever before. However, this time, unlike my days dealing with cancer, I decided that I needed God more than ever. I prayed, I hoped, and I trusted. Ode started chemo and radiation, and we were ready for the fight. We were also ready to become parents. On June 7th, 2013, we found out that Colleen, my sister-in-law, was carrying our child. Shortly after, we actually found out that it was twin boys who were due on Valentine's Day. Emotions ran high, life was complicated, but it was good. I was experiencing sadness and joy at the same time, worried about Ode, yet excited to finally become a mother. Then, in Wilmington, North Carolina, where my sister-in-law lived, on November 19th, 2013, at 28 weeks gestation, Colleen went into preterm labor and gave birth to our sons. Jude came first. He was a feisty little guy, and then Thaddeus. Jude was 2 pounds, 4 ounces, and Thad was 2 pounds, 1 ounce. Although small, the doctors insured us. that anything that could have gone wrong should have been past us, and that our sons may have a long road, but they should get through it. I started to become accustomed to experiencing both highs and lows at the same time. My day started out the scariest day of my life, but I went to sleep, closed my eyes that night with my sons, and I realized that my dreams had finally come true, and it was the best day of my life. It was a bumpy road, but it was so worth the wait. The following day, while the doctor was performing what was supposed to be a routine procedure on Thaddeus, they ran into complications. My tiny 2-pound baby started hemorrhaging, and before I knew it, blood was everywhere. The pictures still haunt me in my mind. The baby that I prayed for every day of my life was now dying right in front of me, and there was nothing I could do except pray and show him love every second that I had him in my arms. And then he took his last breath. There were no words or emotions for what filled my body that day. I was raw and numb, and there's still no words for the emptiness and the despair that entered my world the day that Thad left. It was too painful, and I had no clue how to deal with the sudden and horrifying loss. Yet I needed to figure out a way for Jude and Ode. The only thing I could do, and I feel so horrible saying this, was block the memory of my son Thad. Block the pain, the experience, the emotion, erase it all. And that's what I did. None of it made sense to me. The only thing that I could even fathom is that God was about to take Ode so that Jude wouldn't be alone. I tried to embrace Jude and Ode with every bit of strength that I had left inside me. I spent the next 2 months by Jude's side every second. I never left him. Ode would travel back and forth to New Jersey to continue his treatment, but he did everything in his power to be with us as much as he could. Then what we were waiting for, they told us that our baby was ready to come home. Although excited to leave the hospital and head back to New Jersey with my family, I knew that I had to lay Thad to rest. I had to plan his funeral, deal with the grief that I tried so hard to block. So that's what I did. A few days after they told me that we were leaving in 1 month, I booked a flight and I left for 1 day. I planned Jude's funeral. I left at 6 o'clock in the morning and I came back before midnight that night because I didn't want to leave him. Everything was planned. I was content with my decisions, and I was happy to take Jude home, but the thought of burying Thad and dealing with the grief was agonizing. As the days got closer, we continued to plan for Thad's funeral, and then the discovery. A mass in Jude's stomach, larger than any other organ in his abdomen. Ironically, the day that we were supposed to bury Thad, the funeral was canceled, and Jude and I were airlifted to the Children's Hospital in Philadelphia, where Jude was diagnosed with infantile fibroid sarcoma, a rare form of congenital cancer. Once again, the pain was so intense that I felt numb. I couldn't fathom what was happening, and I still can't, as I was writing down these words on the paper. I spent 4 months in the hospital next to Jude and down the hall from Ode. Both Ode and Jude were dealing with chemo and radiation, and CHOP was kind enough to give my husband a room on the same floor so he could be close to us. Throughout the 4 months that I was in that hospital, I slept in a hospital chair next to my son and didn't leave his side. 5 of those nights, they told me that my son wouldn't make it through the night. My son's intestines were in a silo bag because his tumor grew so large that his intestines burst through his biopsy incision. And that wasn't the only time that happened. The first time it happened, I was out cold on the floor. They were taking care of me just as much as they were taking care of him. It happened 18 times. And by the 18th time, the doctors at CHOP still tease me and tell me that they think I could have put his intestines back better than any of them.
I stayed by Jude's side every second of the day. I joined the doctors day and night in rounds, discussed Jude's condition, and the steps that we would take on a daily basis. I didn't care if I was in the hospital for the rest of my life. I just prayed for my son to survive. I couldn't bear the thought of losing him. But then, on May 22nd, it happened. And it wasn't the cancer, it was an infection. I'm sorry. Once again, I had to say goodbye to my child and watch him take his last breath in my arms. After Jude's passing, Owen was finishing up his chemotherapy and radiation and was too sick to attend a funeral had it been earlier. Therefore, we wound up burying our boys together on June 7th, 2014, exactly 1 year from the day that we found out about our miracle of life. Almost 5 years have passed since I helped my son. I still grieve. I still yearn for my boys the way I did before they were born. However, I would not change 1 second of our lives. Quite frankly, I would do it 1,000,000 times over just to experience the love that we shared. Although my road wasn't easy, I got through it. I got through it because of my faith and when I spoke about my foundation, the people in my world. And that leads me to what I feel is the most important part of what I have to say today. That's my faith. In the short time that my boys were on this earth, they made more of an impact than most people do in a lifetime. Their presence created lifelong friendships, brought faith to disbelievers, showed love, and changed so many people's perspectives on life. I trusted God even after I lost my sons. And I'm not saying my road was easy. All I'm saying is that through the hardships, although I may not have always stuck with God, He always stuck with me. And I learned that when your faith is bigger than your fear, you could get through it. Today, I'm here with my husband, Ode, where he is. And I'm not sure if you hear that little girl talking in the background, but that's our daughter parenting Grace. Harrington was born on June 7th, 3 years from the day we found out we were having our twin boys, and exactly 2 years from the day that we buried our sons. That little girl is filled with so much love and the spirit of her 2 brothers. There's no doubt in my mind that she was sent from heaven and that she was a gift from both God and her brothers. That's my story. There's my little girl. And I guess the moral of the story is that regardless of the dark road that you travel in your lifetime, with a solid faith and with love and your foundation, there will always be light at the end of the tunnel. And when you trust God, everything that you have, everything you once knew, and everything you always dreamed of, can shine brighter than ever before. Thank you.